You're listening to Leadership Podcast, a series of short, insightful discussions with experts in the field of volunteer leadership. Brought to you by the AREA Center for Leadership Development. Your interviewer is Elaine LaChapelle.
Well, welcome everyone. We're here at the AREA Leadership Conference in Toronto, and I have managed to get Dr. Bart to sit down with us for a few minutes today. We're going to be talking about the service mission of associations. Dr. Bart is a professor, he's a consultant, he's a keynote speaker, and he's an author, particularly of the best-selling book, A Tale of Two Employees and the Person Who Wanted to Lead Them. It's been on the Canadian bestsellers list for over 10 years. And I'm delighted to have you here today to talk to us, Dr. Bart.
And I'm delighted to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Great. So in light of our topic, how important do you feel service is to the success of an association? Why is it so important?
It's extraordinarily important, and as a matter of fact, it's probably the bedrock undertaking that all associations have to excel at if they're going to drive member satisfaction. Research has shown that the number one cause of member dissatisfaction is the way they were treated by members of the association staff, that they felt that they weren't getting the kind of service that they deserved. Now, service has changed, though, in the sense that not any type of service will do. It's not just answering the phone with a smile in your voice and asking to be of assistance. It's about recognition and special treatment, about getting to know the membership on a very personal level. It's about customization in terms of recognizing that not every member's requirements for service are actually the same, and so when offering a service, you have to think about how you might have to put a little uniqueness to it, because every member is different. And then, of course, there's this whole notion today that what all customer service should ultimately reflect is an experience. It should be an experience. We live in the experience economy, and to the extent that you can create positive, lasting, memorable experiences, this is going to be the one thing that's going to make sure that your members are not complaining and grousing about the membership fees, because they'll have that positive customer service experience, and it'll make them want more. And
it sounds like you're talking about a personal experience.
Personal experience.
Unique and different.
It's a relationship. Service is ultimately about the relationship that the member has with the association and its staff.
So why are some associations failing in this? Why is it so hard to do?
Well, incredibly, the number one reason for that is that it's just simply not a priority. It's not reflected in its strategic plan. It's not reflected in its mission statement, and as a result, the organization really can't focus on it, because no one really knows that it's supposed to be something that everybody should be concentrating on, that they should be emphasizing, and as a result of that, the staff can't get engaged around that particular activity in order to deliver what it is that the members really want, which is a positive customer service, member service experience.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I just recently went through a sort of a gaggle of your association members' mission statements that were posted on the web. Not one of them mentioned service in their mission. So if you're wondering why members aren't getting the kind of service that they want, it's because associations simply haven't come to the realization that it's important enough to put into their mission.
And that may be a bit of a clue to the next question I wanted to ask, which was, what can directors, boards of directors do at associations to try to create this service culture, to improve the service that they offer?
Probably the most important thing is that they got to create a service-focused organization, and by that it means that you have to align every aspect of the organization, everything that particularly the staff members do, that focuses their attention on providing rewarding, outstanding member service experiences. And I'm talking about job descriptions. I'm talking about performance objectives. I'm talking about do you have information systems in place to gather on a regular basis and tell the board how good the member experience is. We're talking about the reward system and the type of incentives. So all of those organizational arrangements have to be set up in a way in order to provide the emphasis and the signals to everyone in the organization that service is what this organization is all about. And coincidentally, my organization has developed a service execution audit that would allow an organization to be able to go in and quickly identify where the service execution gaps exist, so that they could quickly close them and begin to give those outstanding member service experiences.
When you talk about gaps, I've got to believe that one of the gaps that many associations face is the gap of a lack of resources. What can an association do if they feel they don't have the resources to provide the level of service that they might like?
Well, you've hit the nail on the head, that members' needs for services are broad and wide, and oftentimes more than the association doesn't have the resources necessary to be able to satisfy all of them, and yet they must satisfy them. Otherwise, the member service experience is going to be disappointing and frustrating, and then they're going to start complaining about their fees, and everybody's going to be really unhappy on that. So the real opportunity for the associations is always to provide brilliant service, and when those resources are lacking, there's only two things an organization can do. One is to say, how do we acquire those resources internally in order to be able to meet them? And if they can, that's great. But when they can't, then the next logical step is for the association to look at neighboring associations and say, maybe we should be combining our resources so that together we'll have that wonderful synergistic effect of 2 + 2 = 5, and that by combining our resources, we'll be able to meet and exceed all of the service requirements that our members in both districts need, but which alone neither one of us could sufficiently supply. So mergers and acquisitions should be the way, particularly for smaller associations that are under-resourced with their staffs. But I have to advise, not any merger and not any acquisition will do, because you have to make sure, you have to do some due diligence around to make sure that there's a cultural fit and the expectations are clearly laid out so that when they do come together, there's no doubt or question as to what the combined entity is supposed to look like and achieve. Because the worst thing that can happen is when the merger happens, they stumble on the execution because they've forgotten why they did it in the first place, or they don't really know what to do in order to be able to deliver on the service experience that was intended to happen in the first place.
Yeah, by the merger in itself.
By the merger in itself,
excellent.
Yes.
Very great food for thought. I thank you so much, Dr. Bart.
Well, thank you again for inviting me. It's great to be back.
I'm delighted to have had Dr. Chris Bart with us today, speaking about the service mission. And if you'd like to find out more about our topic or about Dr. Bart, you can go to his website at corporatemissionsinc.com. Thanks so much for joining us.
You've been listening to Leadership Podcast. To subscribe to this podcast, go to aria.com/leadership.